So, I'm just going to be packing up some items today. I figured I'd turn on the live and let people see the tank. Some people like it, some people don't. If you got any questions, I'll do my best to answer, not ask, while I'm doing this, but yeah. Excuse me. Thanks, Sky. Yeah, I love it. So, thank you for the love. Not big. Well, I had coral in this tank after a month of it running. So a lot of it has been placed out throughout the years, but it doesn't take them very long in this tank for mine to establish a decent base on them. This tank has been running for a year and a half. Everything started from a small frag, whether it be like a single head on the Duncan, or I think it was maybe 2 or 3 heads on the candy cane. But everything started from a small frag. So for them to establish, they pretty much established a foothold pretty quick. But probably full coral that's in here has probably been, minus the plate, because the plate is relatively new, I'd say it's probably been a year that everything's been in here. So they all have a good, good foothold on where they are, and they've spread quite a bit. Zoes have spread quite a bit. SPS has spread quite a bit. So a year roughly, I would say. I've seen many tanks that grow a lot more in a year's time, but this one, that's what I'd say is a year. Let's see here. Oh, that one's too sweet. It's still too small. Just actually. Sorry, I'm just packaging up some stuff. Great job. Good luck. Thanks, Sky. I'm gonna need it because you never know what goes on in this hobby. Anything could happen. So, could be good one day and bad the next. Let's hope it doesn't do that. But so far, it's been very good. All right. Yeah, I'll try that one. Ooh, bacterial bloom, yeah. This one went through a small one. Do Do you have a UV sterilizer in the tank? If you had a UV, that would help out quite a bit. Not saying that it's a fix-all, because it's definitely not a fix-all, but it definitely helps out with bacterial blooms, being able to kill some stuff off, so. Will he fit? Don't want to use one of these ones, but I got freshwater. I think a UV sterilizer will still work great in a freshwater. A lot of so UV actually started with freshwater ponds. A lot of people use them in freshwater ponds that have like breeding and stuff. But yeah, I'd look into, if you can, a freshwater, well, it don't matter if it's freshwater or saltwater, they're all made for the same thing, but a UV sterilizer if you can. But yeah, thanks for loving the coral. Oh man, I gotta figure this out real quick. This box may be a bit overkill. Do I have a medium one now? Do not. I'm wondering if blurry, does it look? Why does it look like that? Yeah. That's a little better on my end. Okay. I don't see anything else making that. And you guys, I'm just talking to myself, you know. I hear my niece in the background. She's going a little crazy. Oh, nice. I think it will, actually. Well, I'll have to work that way. And that's what I'll do. You hear some tape and some stuff like that. Sorry, what I do is I resell. That way I can be able to stay home with the kids and all that fancy stuff, because, you know, childcare in this country has become the most expensive thing in the world. promise it won't be that loud forever. I'm just making sure that this thing doesn't open while it ships. Maybe I pushed the box a little bit, but. Some odd things to ship today. One of them being a large animatronic Elvis head. So you just never know what people are gonna buy. That was one of them. Very creepy, but with anything collectible, people will collect it. And this one was probably one of the creepiest things that I've found. And one more here. What's up, Levi? Just packing some stuff. Elvis has left the building, so I gotta pack up Elvis. And that's the boat. Oh, nice. What are you testing the water for? I mean, obviously it's probably way out of my realm of what I'm trying to figure out what you're doing, but who knows? Whoa. Is this? Oof, this is gonna be a close one. Can't remember if I did these. Oh, they actually fit. Nice. I don't know if they were. Oh, fit. They need a little bit of extra room.
Your hair slip off the bed.
What?
Your hair slip right off the bed.
No. Ooh, that is. Okay. Let's see. I think you should do a live, bud. Tank looks great, so why not? I don't know what's going on with the. I don't know if you can see it in the background, but the GSP's like kind of closed up. I gotta check my. What's it called today? But I also have to do a water change, so I'm not too worried. But yesterday it was completely closed up. Today it's kind of open, so I don't know if it's just probably like a super low nutrients or something. I don't know. I'll have to take a look and check my my parameters today. But yeah, it's all closed up. So nothing else is closed up. All the zoos are open, and SPS has got polyp extension. So I don't know. I'll have to take a look and see if I can figure it out. But definitely weird to see the GSP closed up, because that thing don't, usually doesn't close up ever.
easiest way to do it.
Oh, okay. Just some paint. It's funny to see my Chromis getting. He's much more active now that the other two are out of there. I don't know what that was all about, but I'm not going to complain about it now. Oh gosh, there we go. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah, holy crap, that is heavy. And again, if you don't, a bunch of wild great tank greetings from Austria. Holy smokes, Austria. Welcome. Thanks for the love on the tank. Hopefully you enjoy it. I usually post some videos, but I haven't done it because, you know, it's the start of summer up here in Maine, and I'm from the States, so, but, you know, getting all the activities of outside in because we have a rather long winter and an even longer spring, so very mushy, and now it's time to enjoy the weather, so that's what I've been doing. But figured I'd do a live. I haven't done one in a couple weeks, and it's been forever since I've done a video, and I'm just packing up some items today and that I'm going to be shipping out, and figured I'd do a live for everybody so that they could see. But welcome from Austria. Thank you for coming by. Yeah, Ellie, it's definitely taking off, but just today it's a little closed up, but what are you going to do? But it's definitely, I mean, considering it started from where it was and how long it took to actually establish for that, but yeah, it's almost at the top of the water surface now on the right side, and it's definitely going pretty crazy on the left side. But, I mean, you gotta think it was only about, what, I think a quarter of an inch patch when it first went in the tank, so. And to be honest with you, I think my fastest grower in the tank is not even the GSP. I think it's the Forest Fire Digi right up front. That thing is insanely fast, so. Well, that and the Rainbow Monty in the back corner as well, but I'm a beginner. What do I need to make a similar aquarium? Greetings from Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Oh my goodness. The basics. So really, to do any good aquarium, it's the basics of water changes and filtration designed around what you want to keep for coral. However big you want your tank, it comes down to filtration and water changes. Water changes are the easiest way to success when it comes to a tank. In my experience, that's what I've always done. I do a weekly water change. You don't have to go crazy. Again, it depends on what you want to keep. If you want to keep SPS, you're going to need better filtration. If you want to keep just softies and LPS, you can get away with virtually no filtration and just doing water changes once a week. This hobby is pretty easy if you don't allow it to get too complicated. A lot of people get super complicated on what needs to be done and how to do things, but you can run them pretty simply and they'll pretty much run themselves. Maverick, my favorite fish in the tank, my favorite fish is, because I'm from Maine, the clownfish up in the back is a Maine blizzard. It was actually bred here at Maine University of Oronos. I'm not sure what their program is, but they did breeding on clownfish. And that was actually bred back in the early 2000s, I believe. And I finally purchased one for this tank. Back when they first came out, they were extremely expensive. Something I didn't want to deal with. So over time, the price has obviously gone down because they've bred so many of them. But my favorite one in this tank is my Maine Blizzard Clown. She's super hard to see. That's their place. They sit up in the back corner. They've always been there since I put them in a year and a half ago. That's their place. The male is a Black Lightning, but my favorite one is the Maine Blizzard for the tank. If it comes down to my favorite fish, period, I've always been a sucker for a nice bright yellow tang. I don't know, I kind of like the super basic stuff. I don't need, like the black tang or the purples. Don't get me wrong, they're amazing, beautiful fish, something I definitely want in the future. But a nice, bright yellow tang to me is like, it's amazing. Back 15 years ago, I was just a beginner and I had one in a 10-gallon tank, which is something you definitely don't do. But it was just a baby at the time, and I absolutely loved it. It was super bright yellow, and back then you could pick up a yellow tang for like $45. So now it's a bit different. So nice looking tank. Thanks, Steph. Yeah, I appreciate the love on the tank. It's nice to get some love on the tank. I mean, I get a lot of it, but it's always nice to see people, supporting the tank. It's good to see. Yeah, a tang, like you said, Levi. The next tank for me is an 80-gallon, so I can definitely have a tang in it, and there will definitely be a yellow tang in it. Maybe another tang, but I can't go too crazy. It's not a very big tank, but yeah, I'd have to say tang is definitely, especially the Hawaiian yellow, they're beautiful. To me, there's nothing better than that bright yellow tang in a reef tank. There's not very many bright yellow fish like that, and I don't know, amazing. I'm sorry, Steph, I'm not sure what your flag is, what country that is, so. What do we got here? Magazines. God, that's heavy. Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Bing. The jelly bean chalice, I wish it had a little bit more red in it, but nonetheless, it's really growing pretty good. It's hard to tell, but it was only one eye when I got it. Let me see if I can get my finger up there. That eye right in the middle was the sole eye on it when I first got the tank. I mean the frag. I'll wipe that now because I just put a big smudge on it. But it eats like crazy. I also have another chalice over on the back side that mostly gets seen when I'm doing a shot on the other side of the other viewing panel of the tank. But the jelly bean chalice is my big stunner out front, I guess you would say. No mystery wrasse. I don't know if that's what you were asking, but the system pretty much is packed at the moment with its stock list. It's only a 13.5 gallon. I have the dotty back, blue-green chromis. There's a green clown goby. You might be able to see him. He's usually inside the candy canes. And then I have my 2 clowns. A very, very large cleanup crew. There's limpets, there's turbo snails, there's margaritas, there's hermit crabs, emerald crabs. So there's a pretty decent size bio load on the tank. But probably won't do a mystery wrasse, probably won't do a wrasse in this system just because I don't think I'd be able to get away with it. I just lost, it was 3 chromis in here, and then 2 of them, it's not a mystery, there's typical chromis after a year, one, you're usually down to 1, so, and, but a wrasse would take care of this dotty back being a bit of an asshole, so, as you can see, he is, trying to show some dominance in the front of the tank at the moment. Great looking coral tank. How many fish are in there? Oops, sorry, Bonnie. I kind of went over that while you sent the message. 2 clowns, a clown goby, 1 chromis, and the dotty back. She kills all my cleanup crew, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't do a wrasse unless it was like a 6 line and he was just kind of being a maintenance fish. Not that I don't like wrasses, it's just this tank is just way too small at the moment, like I said. I do have an 80 gallon for in the future, and I will have to get a stock list together, but probably a 6 line would pretty much be my only one, just because they're a good maintenance fish. They're always going around picking at the rocks. I do water changes and dosing. This tank uses Kalkwasser in the auto top off. So it's 100% saturation Kalkwasser in the auto top off. And I do a water change once a week, 2.5 gallons. My alkalinity is around 9, and I like to keep it there. My pH is raised nice and high because of the Kalkwasser in the system, and I also leave the windows open, so I get really good growth in this system. But yeah, I don't do any other dosing other than that. I like to keep the methods cheap and easy. Where are we? Yes, chromis do kill themselves off. There was 3 of them in this system, and then within a 2-week span, 2 of them died, and this guy's been by himself and loving it, so. I cannot keep 2 clowns to save my wife. I have a maroon clownfish, and she is huge and vicious. That's your problem. The clownfish, you're going to need to get a large male, like a full-grown male, maroon, and that's going to be hard. Um, you're probably going to be stuck with just the maroon clown for a long time, unfortunately, unless you get rid of her. But yeah, maroon clowns are vicious. I had two of them back in the day. I had two lightning maroons, and they were, they battled, that's for sure. Yeah, clowns are damsels. Yep, they're in the damsel family. So they do scrap, that's for sure. That's one of their things. Yeah, I love chromis. I always loved them. Not a, I love to see schooling fish, and I think blue-green chromis is one of the nicest, cheapest fish you could get for a saltwater aquarium. Um, what's up, Austin? How's it going? Yeah, I think a yellow wrasse, something like that would look good. But again, I gotta wait until the 80-gallon setup before I can go too crazy. Running two Kessel 360Xs, dose calc, and started with a new one part. Yeah, no, I know my tank is way too small for tangs. I don't. Trust me, I've been in the hobby for long enough. There's no tangs going in the tank. I don't need the tang police in here trying to, there's no tangs in the tank. No worries. But. Sorry, Blue Gem, I kind of went right over you, but how's it going in the Netherlands? Sorry, I'm trying to pack up some stuff while doing this, guys. But, yeah, this tank is only a 13.5 gallon. It's a very small. It's almost in the Pico range. They would still consider it a Nano, but it is very small. But it is a mixed reef, and I have a very good nutrient export on here between doing my water changes and my filtration. So I also have a good assortment of corals to be able to take care of some nutrients as well. So the bio load is more than able to be taken care of. Fish get fed twice a day off of an auto feeder, so plenty of nutrients in the system still. Nice, yeah, 250, that's a big tank. I took a break from, I've always had nano tanks when it came to reefs. My biggest nano being a 40 breeder, and yeah, so I got the chance to get an 80-gallon rimless, and I got it for free because it needed to be cleaned, and guy didn't want to go through the trouble of cleaning it, so I did, and it's sitting outside. I just haven't had the chance to. Basically, I gotta build a stand, I gotta do all my sump, I gotta figure out lighting, which my lighting is honestly gonna be probably the same exact lights, just the bigger versions. And when it comes to wave makers and everything else, it's probably gonna be the same companies. Like, I'm not one to spend a lot of money on, name brand just for the name. So both these Hydra wave makers are more than powerful enough to be able to do anything. So, and I'll probably do like a Reef Octopus skimmer for that tank. But I like to keep it very, very simple when it comes to reef tanks. I feel like people go overkill on a lot of things for these tanks, and they really genuinely do not need it. That's just me. That's how I've always done it. But yeah. Yeah, tangs are, I don't know as if they're like the most prone to ick. I just feel like they're super aggressive. So like, you know, if they're not feeding and grazing 24/7, they start picking at each other, and one, you know, they start to get agitated a little bit. I feel like ick is one of the first things that comes in because, you know, through stress and all that. But I'd probably, I think on the next system I might just put a UV just for, because I don't quarantine fish. I've never quarantined fish. I know it's not the greatest thing in the world to do, but I feel like even if you quarantine them, you're still going to have the good chance that something's going to happen. So it's almost, I don't even want to say it's a waste. It's a practice that a lot of people should do, but I've never done it. Never once done a quarantine system, never quarantined a fish. I have had a battle of ick back in the day in my 40 breeder, but as long as the fish are eating and they're swimming and they're healthy, ick will not bother them. It will probably, most likely, the fish will probably survive as long as you can, you know, not stress it out any more than it already is. But as for, you know, other issues, urinema, all that stuff, never had to deal with it. But again, my biggest thing is maybe like everybody's starting to use UV sterilizers as like a precaution, I guess you would say, to help out parasites in the system. So I don't know, maybe I'll have one on the next system. But for me, and I know a lot of people, you know, preach it, but most people don't have the ability to have a full-blown system set up for doing medication and all that stuff. But that's just, you know, that's me. I mean, you can say there's nothing simple about a reef tank, but this tank is, I'll tell you, it's simple. It has a bag of carbon in the back and GFO. It has a filter pad, and that is it. I dose Kalkwasser in the auto top off, and I do not really check numbers. I more so check coral. If there's an issue with like coral not opening, I will check the system then. But this tank is very simple. It has SPS, LPS, mushrooms, softies. So the system, reef tanks can be simple. A lot of people just, I feel like they overcomplicate things, and the hobby makes it seem like you need, you know, to spend all kinds of money on certain things, when in reality you can get away with not doing that. Doing good. I survived my first flatworm pest. Sad thing is the Zebrasoma scopus and grandma died. My purple stylophora. My tank survived for 75%. I'm happy about it. Nice. Yeah, you can't go wrong with that. Flatworms are part of the hobby, unfortunately. There's pests are going to get in the tank. Pests are in your tank, even if you don't think they're in there. They are in there. You just got to deal with them when they come up. I feel like that's another thing that a lot of people, you know, over exaggerate what a pest is. And, you know, don't get me wrong, they are a pain in the butt to get rid of, but they're in the ocean, they're going to be in your tank as well eventually. It's just how it happens. Not done a water change in mine for 5 years. Congratulations. That's a feat that I'm sure a lot of people want to be able to have. It shows your tank is definitely mature. I mean, 5 years, it's a mature tank. Yeah, UV is the next step for sure. That's what I'm going to put on my tank. I'm going to, like I said, I'd like to keep it simple. Filter pads, Kalkwasser until I can't use it anymore, and then I'll break down, probably do a two-part or all for Reef, who knows, but UV is definitely going on the 80. Thanks, Rah. Yeah, I mean, 5 years, that's an impressive feat. But you know, if you make an ecosystem like you did, the ecosystem will take care of itself, and that's the nice thing about a reef tank, is that the end goal is to have an ecosystem to be able to self-sustain itself. And it's no easy feat to be done, but if you can get there, that's amazing. I've always just done my weekly water change. Not that I wouldn't say I enjoy it, but I make it easy for myself. So it's only, especially in this system, it's only a 10-minute task. But that's awesome. I'm glad, you're able to do that for yourself. That makes it easy to enjoy the reef tank instead of work on it, which a lot of people do. And the way that I do it is I want to try to, same thing, I want to enjoy the tank as much as possible. I don't want to have to worry about it. I really don't worry about this system. I mean, especially over the last 2 weeks, I've probably looked at it maybe 2 times, which is kind of terrible, but I like to let it do its own thing, and I don't try to keep my hands in there. A lot of people like to, down and dirty inside the tank. Not for me. Yeah, some people, if you got the ability to use ocean ocean water, that is a lot of people in Australia do that. That is amazing, honestly, being able to do that. I live in the western mountains in Maine, and I won't be able to do that. I mean, as you know, a lot of people probably won't be able to do that as well, but that's awesome, being able to do that, use water from the ocean. So get my Elvis in here. That's pretty cool. Yeah, for me, my water comes out of my well. Like I said, live in the western mountains of Maine. I have extremely clean water, and as it is, and I run it also through an RODI unit. So I think my water going in is like 37 TDS. So my water's not dirty in the first place, but I've always used what is mine? 5-stage filtration, and I think it's 75 gallons per day, so it's not a lot, but I use Instant Ocean Reef crystals. Always used it. Never. I mean, it works. It does the job. I like to keep. It also helps on my alkalinity, so it has a high alk content. But all right, I'm gonna figure out how I'm gonna pack this guy without him moving around. Yeah, if we could actually use, I mean, we do live on the East Coast, but our water nutrient levels are probably way different than, tropical areas. So I don't know if that's a good idea for us, but I mean, it's possible. We could go down and drive to the coast every couple weeks and pick up some water, but Well, a lot of people have ugly phases that, you know, can last a while, but you really got to find out what is your ugly phase. Is it, you know, just dusty algae? Is it, you know, hair algae? Is it dinos? Is it something like that? You got to figure that out, and then go from there and figure out how to take care of it. I can't speak on this tank because this tank, its ugly stage was a bad outbreak of ulva, which is sea lettuce. I mean, every rock in here was covered in it. I did two things to combat that. I turned on my algae reactor that I have a DIY video of, and I got a sea urchin. He's around here somewhere, probably on the back side, but the sea urchin cleared up my ulva, and I haven't really had an issue with algae after that. I did have some bubble algae, but there's a couple of emerald crabs in here, so it depends on what it is that's your ugly phase, I guess you would say. Figure out what it is, what the algae is that's growing, or the bacteria that's growing, and then go from there. Yeah, for me, for a lot of people, it should be just to let the system kind of mature, and a lot of the ugly stage is just going to go away if it's just ugly stage. But if it's something that's not diatoms, if it's, like Bing is saying, if it's diatoms, it will just disappear. But if it's something else, it could be something that you have to do to combat it. But most of the time, you can just let a tank establish and get through the ugly phase. It's going to happen regardless. You're going to have, the tank is not going to look pretty in the first year, pretty much ever. So just let it keep running and doing its thing. If you're doing a 20% weekly water change and that's something you're doing, continue doing it. Maintenance is key, 100%. You know, you gotta stay up on your pumps, make sure your pumps are still flowing and doing what they're supposed to, and you're the nutrient export with your water changes. So yeah, 5-stage or nothing. It's always been, I've had my 5-stage filtration system for 10 plus years now, so I've always used it pretty much. Back in the day I didn't, when I first started getting into the reefing and stuff, but you know, after you figure out after a while that your source water is probably the issue before really anything else, you just skip all that and just go to perfectly clean water to start off. Can't be as bad as Liverpool's UK water. I ran mine through carbon filters for 24 hours. Yeah, I mean, our water's pretty clean up here, especially our ocean water's pretty clean up here in Maine. But as for my well water, like, it's spring fed, super clear, super cold all the time. So, and like I said, I've checked it going in just off a TDS meter. I don't do any other, like, I've never checked it with ICP or anything like that. But it's only like 38, 40 TDS going in, and that's pretty low. So it's always 0 TDS before it goes into the tank. Always change out my filters like every 6 to 8 months, and once a year I change out my membrane, and then I just change out my DI resin when it's like an inch to 2 inches left of color. I'll just change it all out. So I stopped testing years ago and used my eyes. That's all I really do. I almost really never test my tank. I use my eyes to figure out if everything's happy. Once a week, if I do it, I will test my elk just to make sure that it's not like plummeting through the floor. But other than that, I don't really check anything. It's probably been 2.5, 3 weeks since I tested. And even when I do test, I don't adjust anything. I still just make sure that it's in the area. So it stays consistent. I feel like a lot of people try to change things really quickly in these tanks, and that's not the best for them. So I really don't do anything. I just test to get an idea of what the system parameters are, and then pretty much do it for no reason other than just to know what it is. Thanks, Jeremy. Yeah, diatoms they're going to run their course. Let the tank establish, and they'll probably just disappear, like Bing said. Betamax VHS. Thanks, Sexy Tank. Thanks, dude. Yeah, the tank it's beautiful. I really enjoy it, and I'm glad other people enjoy it as well. Thanks for the love. 40 TDS is really low. That's a great water source. Yeah, I mean, when I first moved into my house, which is now 5 years ago, like everybody says you can't taste the difference in water, but I'm going to tell you right now, when we moved in here, my father says it's like the best water source he's ever had. Mind you, he lives on town water, so there's a big difference there, but it is incredibly good tasting water, and I feel like that makes a big difference for a lot of people, like, not for reef tanks, but I'm just rambling anyway. But when I did test it and I set up the reef tank at 40 TDS, I was happy. And like I said, we have an incredible water source right across the road from us. We have the Swift River, which comes off the mountains, western mountains up in Rangeley, Maine area and all that. So has a lot of springs that feed into it. Water's always incredibly clear. Just a good water source is key. And if you don't have a great water source, a good water filtration system of an RODI unit is key. Yeah, I have to agree, Bing. Chasing numbers will end your hobby really quickly. Probably faster than a lot of people think. Try to change things too quickly, and it just messes up the whole system that was happy. Really was probably happy where it was. You just had to mess with it because you want a certain number. And a lot of people in the hobby make it seem like you need a certain number to be able to run a reef tank, and that's not true. Watch your corals. If your corals are happy, leave it alone. You do want things to be consistent, but you don't need to go crazy and change things all at once. So yeah, I try not to test, because if I test, then you get an idea, oh, maybe I need to change. But in reality, you don't really need to. Try and keep it consistent. Do your maintenance like you're supposed to, and don't let your numbers get too crazy if you're letting maintenance go, but that's about it. Yeah, the Setosa is almost touching the glass on the right side. You can't really see it because the frag rack's in the way, but that thing started off about, I'd say, dime-sized a year ago. Easily one of the fastest growing corals in the tank. Needs to be fragged very badly. Like I said, honestly, it probably is so close to the glass I can't even put my scraper through, so I definitely need to frag it. But thanks for the love. It's actually a I don't know if you'd call it grafted, but it's got a UV stripe through it. If I have a UV light on it, it's got a bright green UV light strip through it. So It's definitely like a two-tone color, but the UV strip, you don't see it. Like even when all blues are on, you need a UV light, but it is incredibly huge for how much it's grown in the last year. And it took a while to establish its foot in the tank. Once it's, established its foot in the tank, it just went nuts. Thanks, Keel. Thanks for the love. Looks beautiful. Get rid of the Euphilia in the front. Is that an elegance? No, that is a Duncan. And I probably won't get rid of it because I'll probably just save it for my tank. I like Duncans. I'm not a big Euphilia fan, I don't like torches and frog spawns and hammers. I have no need for those in my system. Not a fan of them. Never have been. Even back when you could buy a torch for, $20 for a colony. I'm not a fan of them. Duncans, on the other hand, I do like Duncans. They are the easiest coral to take care of, but they eat like crazy, which is one of the cool things. You can feed them pretty much anything. They'll grab food right out of the water system, and it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. Yeah. Thanks for the love on the Duncan. It was actually this Duncan. I don't know if I have it in a video. I might. But it was underneath the Setosa out back, and it kind of destroyed some of the color on it. So it did not look like this. It was all sunken in, and yeah, I did have a Duncan in here way back, but I traded my buddy 207 Nano Reef, and you've seen him in the chat, for his Duncan, which was this one, because mine just got too big for this tank, and it was going to outgrow it relatively quickly. So I traded him, and I took this one and stuck it out back under the Setosa. It didn't like that spot, so I got this little frag plug rock, from 207 Nano Reefing as well, and I just put it on there, and it's been really happy out front where there's a kind of a dead spot in the flow right here. It's got a ton of flow up on the top system of the tank, which is where my SPS is. But right over here is kind of like a dead spot because all the flow kind of just gets smashed in the middle up top. So he kind of, he has a good waving motion in him. So when the flow usually slows down during the night, the plate in the Duncan really open up and puff up. So it's a plate coral. I don't know how. I've had them for 2 months now, I think. That thing likes to eat too. I never knew that plate coral, because this is my first plate coral. I've never had one. Went to a frag swap in Bangor, Maine, and they had like 5 of them, all different colors, and this is the one I picked out. It's got a bright orange mouth on it. It probably needs to be fed, because he tends to sink in a little bit when he's, like, I guess you would say hungry. So I'll probably feed him tonight, but yeah, that's a plate coral. Alright, I gotta get back to packing. Digging the Skittles look. Yeah, that's what you want. You want it to, be a bit of a rainbow. Don't want all the corals to have the same color. I don't like that bland look. I think the bland look is like a lot of, how do I say it? Like soft corals have a lot of bland look to them. So like, you know, leathers and Kenyas and stuff, unless you buy like higher end ones. But I don't like that bland look. Always like the super colorful look, and that's kind of what I'm getting to. Oh, that's GSP on the back wall, 100%. If you can keep it there, and it will stay there, it'll look good. And it usually does look good. It's a little sunken in over the last 2 days. Yesterday it didn't open up at all. Today it's open, but not very open. So, yeah, that is GSP. I am a fan of GSP. I'm just a fan of keeping it in a place where it's not going to go nuts over the rocks. So that's why it's on the back wall, so that I can easily rip off a chunk and give it away or throw it away. Again, sorry for the loud noises. I am packing items to ship. My tape. There it is. You don't like GSP, Bing? What's the problem with GSP? I mean, I know what the problem with GSP is, but it grows like crazy and it spreads across rocks, and it's nearly impossible to frag when it's on the rocks. But on the back wall, no issues. The light is a cheap Amazon night crew light. Let's see here. I don't know if that. There you go. So it's a night crew 50 watt. The nice thing about the night crew units, is it a little tilted? It is a little tilted. Is it comes with the stand and everything for, I think I paid at the time, I honestly, I don't even remember what the price was. $100 plus $50 for the controller, just so that you can write in a schedule for it. But yeah, this light, bang for buck for performance, is ridiculous. It does grow SPS, no issues. So yeah, I don't want to say I've always done it, but if you can get the same results from a light that, say, is $300-400, then why would you spend $300-400 when you can get one of these? I understand people like tech and stuff and want to be able to, change individual LEDs and how much they go out and percentages and stuff, but in reality, you just keep messing with your light and it's going to mess with the tank. So keep it simple. You got whites, you got blues, and you got a time schedule. That's what this light does, and has no issues so far growing anything or issues in general. Has not overheated, has not flickered, nothing. So man, I've been getting a lot of love from out of the country today. But yeah, the light it's a night crew, NICREW, Hyper Reef. And you can get it right on Amazon or anywhere else. I'm not sure where you get them in Brazil, but I'm sure you can find them. But for the price, they are a great light for the price. They will grow coral, no problem. They have good coloration. And under full blues, the tank looks ridiculous. Australia. Welcome, Luke, from Australia. I've said it in the video probably 4 or 5 times, but sorry, I'm packing. You're going to hear some paper and tape. Double tape that bottom, probably. Good day to you too. How is it in Australia? Are you guys going through a heat wave or what? We're about to get our first heat wave here in Maine. I say it's a heat wave because it's we're going from like 50 degrees nights to 90 to 100 degrees during the day this week. So that's a big change for us. The Allie's Corner, this is a 50 watt. The tank is a 13.5 gallon tank, so it's not a very large tank, but Night Crew makes a 30, a 50, 100, and 150. So you do have a decent selection, and every single one of them does come with a arm for a stand to go on a tank. If you want to see what a 100 watt looks like, you can look up 207 Nano Reefing. He's been in the chat a little bit, and you can see his tank. He has a Fluval Flex 32.5, and he has a 100 watt Night Crew on his. And again, cheap light, super easy, like nothing crazy, no app or anything like that. But if you buy the controller with it, which is just a controller sits on the back, you can do a whole schedule with it and everything. As for just the light, it has white, blue, and balanced. And I'm not sure the percentage of the light, if it's 100%, like, or whatever on that, but that's why, excuse me, I got the hiccups. That's why I bought the controller with it, so that I can set up the percentage I want and the light schedule. Cold temps winter. What's cold temps in Australia? Only because I have no clue. You're welcome, Allie. The power heads are Amazon as well. They're Higer power heads. That's the one on the back wall is a Higer Mini. I think it's 1,600 gallons per hour, and the one that you can just see above the screen right here is a Higer Crossflow 12 watt, which is like 1,800, I think. I can't remember exactly the. Yes, 12 watt. It's got a thing right on the back. I should look at it. 1,300 gallons per hour. And this system has a lot of flow in it. See, I don't. I had Kessels, and I've spent, money on lights, like expensive lights or whatever. I had Kessels in my 40 breeder back in the day, but don't go out and buy like radions and stuff. You don't need them. You can this performs exactly the same as a radion for $100. No issue. If you want to go with a Kessel, by all means, Kessel is a great light. But like Ecotech radions are overpriced for what they are. I don't recommend them to anybody because the price is just, if you want to go out and spend that kind of money on an Ecotech, by all means, if you want to be an Ecotech boy and all that, go for it. But you do not need to spend the money on a light. Especially considering when the proof is in the pudding, this light has been on this tank since it started. It grows coral, has good coloration. For $100, I'm not going to go out and spend $600 on a XR15 Ecotech. It's not going to happen. Or, I mean, you could put an A80 Kessel over the top of this. No issues there. And actually, this light uses the same exact controller as a Kessel. It's the same, literally the same controller as a Kessel. So you can adjust your whites and your blues and your hours on it. So you can definitely change the spectrum on it. But yeah, I wouldn't, saying spend your money on the lights is not exactly true. So that's just my take on it. 8 to 17 degrees Celsius. See, that's kind of like where we have been in the spring here. And our quote, like I said, quote unquote heat wave that we're getting this week. We're going from like 50-degree nights to, what is that? Oh, just a worm. We're going from 50-degree nights to like 100. I think we're going to peak at like 100 degrees this week, and our humidity is insane in Maine, so what are you going to do, Yeah, Betamax, to me, I don't try to get into, I really do try to stay away from the nitty-gritty of like prices on all, the lights and people pushing lights and certain pumps, and I'm the same way. I like to spend my money on the fish and the coral. If a pump or a wave maker does the same thing that the other one does, except it doesn't have the fancy name on it, same thing with a light. If my light grows coral but it doesn't have a fancy name on it, like the big name guys, I'm just not gonna go out and recommend those big name lights. Kessels do work. I've used Kessel in the past. It is an expensive light still, but has really good penetration in the water, has a really good spectrum on it. But when it comes down to the Ecotech, radions, that's just my opinion. Thanks, Chum Bucket. Yeah, been running for 1.5 years. It's one of my smallest tanks I've ever had, but it does work. The Lambo Porsche name, yeah. Yeah, if you can, in reality, you got like the poor man's Ferrari, the Corvette, right? If you can get Ferrari performance out of a Corvette, why are you gonna buy a Ferrari just because people like the name. And that's a lot of the thing in the hobby is a lot of people do like the name and they want the name. For me, it's I don't care about the name. I care about the performance. So, um, I've never driven a Ferrari, so I can't compare performance of the cars. But that's what they call it. Okay, did I put this as? I don't know. Fine. Okay, what is going on? Okay. Oh my gosh, dude. Oh, okay, that is gonna change rather quickly because that is a okay. Oh my gosh. Alright, let's see here. This tank is a Fluval Evo, 13.5 gallon. You can buy it right at like PetSmart, right off the shelf. This has obviously been upgraded, but you can buy one. Wowza, that is a lot, but how is that? Who does? Here, yeah. They are great little tanks. They are. The only thing I wish is that the bottom, the little platform. I mean, I guess I could take it off, but I'm not a big fan of the platform on the bottom. But that's just me. Yes, it is heavily stocked. Coral and fish and cleanup crew. Very, very heavily stocked. But thank you. Sold Fluval lights on it. I kept my XR15s for my smaller tanks. Good for you, man. Got rid of that 65. Got the good light for it. Let's see here. Where? No, I don't want to drop those. Huh. Okay. this off to the side. Somebody was wearing that. Oh. Other tank is outside at the moment. I just haven't. I'm in the process of doing all my summer stuff before I decide to tackle the project. But I have an 80-gallon rimless that I am going to be setting up. I got to build the stand and all that stuff, but probably won't be everything won't be done for it before the end of the year. Honestly, just because I got 7 other million projects to go on, but like I said, I do have an 80-gallon rimless that will be getting set up, so that is my other tank. Not bad. I'll deal with it. Okay. Hey Sherry, how's it going? Quite a few people that are new in here, and there's some, long-time experts in here as well, so. If you want, you can go up and read the chat. There's been quite a few people talking about their tanks in here as well. Alright. Well, okay. I will be right back. Not a saltwater girl. I like freshwater, but I'm more girl fish. Nice to have you here, Sherry. You don't have to be a saltwater person. Just happens to be my favorite. I do have a freshwater tank downstairs as well in my son's room, but always been a freshwater person. Just saltwater lover. For me, there's a difference. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people who have saltwater tanks definitely. I mean, I'm not all of them, but I think a lot of them have a freshwater tank as well. But um, it's hard to deny once you get into saltwater how much more fun, I guess you would say, it is, um, and easy to be honest. Plecos and koi, that's awesome. Alright, doing on this. How heavy is this thing? I think I'm going to have to eat that because we're in. It's not bad. It's not bad. I think I'll deal with that. Yeah, I have to agree. Colors, even with fish, the colors for fish are just completely different ball game when it comes to salt. Um, and when it comes to planted, I guess you would call it, planted tanks, a lot of green. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of green when it comes to coral, but you can definitely get a bunch of different colors, which is one of my biggest things. Yeah, the videos I've touched on it in this live actually a little bit, but it does not have to be complicated. Many beginner hobbyists when it comes to saltwater tanks, um, it's overwhelming. In reality, it doesn't need to be. You can run a saltwater tank with a hang on the back filter and a semi decent lights for it if you want coral, and all you have to do is just mix water and do a water change once a week. um, they make it super complicated, and in reality it does not need to be. Sure, there's things that will pop up, but I mean, when it comes to keeping crystal clear water, a saltwater tank is much easier at keeping absolutely crystal clear water than a freshwater has ever been for me. That's just my take on it. I'm with Betamax. I buy performance, not brand. So you can definitely make this hobby more affordable and easier for yourself. Oh, wait, what? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yeah, and then GPS. Yeah, you can really. I mean, I've seen. You can look at Danny Aquariums on YouTube. He does not use any filtration. He just has power heads, and he does dose. But I mean, to say there's a one size fits all for reefing is the biggest lie. There's so many different ways to be able to do this hobby. It's incredible. Yeah, I find it way easier to keep a nice, clean, perfect looking reef tank than I do a freshwater tank. Um, it's just, I mean, don't get me wrong, my freshwater downstairs is nice and clear, but um, I don't know. I've always found it so much easier. Like if you just have a fish only saltwater, not saltwater, but freshwater, tends to get, cloudy and murky. If you don't have plants in there to take up the nutrients, you got to do more water changes. Like I don't know. I've been doing the saltwater hobby for so long. I just find it so much more easier. I really don't go crazy on this system. Um, like I said, I've touched on it in this live a little bit beforehand, but I do not overcomplicate saltwater. Alright, 1 second here, guys. I just gotta go back and look at my labels, make sure I put them on the right way. What is this one? Darcy. Come on. Thanks, Sherry. I really like my saltwater tank to be, like you said, eye-catching, I guess you would say. Many different colors, and under full blues on this tank, you can really see the pop in the corals. But Picasso clowns, those are really beautiful fish. Like I touched out earlier, you can see her up in the back. That's their spot. They've always been up there. They never, I mean, they venture out when there's food and stuff, but my two clowns up back is a Maine Blizzard and a midnight, I believe it's called Midnight Lightning, which is just a black Ocellaris lightning pattern. But yeah, they are clownfish, especially designer clownfish. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Yeah, clowns and yellow tangs are like I guess you would call them the saltwater hobby fish, quote unquote. But, yeah. Mocha Storm and Black Storms, nice. Yeah, I got the Maine Blizzard. Um, like I said earlier, it's made here in Maine. It was bred here in Maine. Um, so to me, I've always wanted one. The first time I seen one was they had a pair of them, and I think they were like $500 when they first came out, way back for a pair, a mated pair, and after that, I was like, well, I really want designers, so I went with lightning maroons for a little bit. I've had some just black Ocellaris, and then in this tank, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna get a Maine Blizzard, and as for the other one, I'm going to get a Midnight Lightning, and they've been good together. They do, they have a couple days every once in a while when they scrap, but the male it's funny, he is the protector of her, and she kind of beats him up every once in a while, but the dotty bat comes around, he swims down and breaks the distance. It's just, but they've never come out of that corner. That's since day one I put them been in the corner. That's their place. Until they find a different place in the tank, I don't know where it will be, or maybe it will just be in the 80 gallon when I eventually swap a lot of stuff over. Who knows? But alright, yeah. Um, I don't do breeding, and for clowns to be successful with breeding, they need their own tank. Um, because if not, as soon as they'll just become fish food inside here for the other ones. Um, so no success breeding. I don't plan on breeding as well, um, but there is very they are very successful at breeding when it comes to clownfish. Like on the bigger scale, and even some people on the smaller scale, but you do need a place for them to be by themselves, basically. Because if not, once they start popping out the little fry and stuff, it's just fish food for everything else that's in there. And if these ones do lay eggs and everything like that, I'm just going to leave them alone. Um, and just let them be, you know. I don't plan on doing the breeding process. I think it would be kind of cool to see what those two make in the future, maybe. But as for right now, no breeding for me. But clownfish do live for a long time, especially if the tank is well established and you know there's no sickness and stuff. I've seen people who've had clowns for 15, 20 years. That's the other thing about saltwater hobby, is that the lifespan of a lot of the fish is pretty long. Tangs can live for a long time. So who knows, maybe my guys will get to 15, 20 years old and we'll see. But right now they're just still pretty young and probably not ready for breeding yet, but yeah, clowns can get expensive especially for mated pairs. But you already know that, so you paid it, so yeah, a lot of reef keepers in the marine hobby and stuff, they even not reef keepers, you have predator predator fish tanks, and some of these fish will outlive dogs, cats and dogs. That's another reason why I really like the hobby is the lifespan, I guess you would say, of some of these fish. They really grow a personality and kind of grow with your family, I guess you would say. What do you feed saltwater fish? So saltwater fish get fed, like these ones get fed pellets and flakes and frozen mysis shrimp mixed with like brine shrimp as well. So they get fed an assortment of food, really no different than freshwater fish in what you would feed them, I guess. It is more marine based, so some of them do have like like an algae inside of it as well, but I mean, it's no more complicated feeding wise than freshwater. Oh, what do we get here? I mean, yeah, the feeding is, it doesn't need to be complicated. You can talk to a lot of the higher end coral keeper people, I guess you would say, and like a lot of them just do pellets. You don't have to do, you know, frozen and all that. A lot of the pellets are very nutrient dense, and many of these fish survive no problem. So, again, one of those things that online, a lot of people make this hobby seem, especially saltwater, make it seem so complicated, and that you need the highest end gadgets and all of that, and you do not. You do not need the high end stuff. Will the high end stuff work? Yes, but many of, especially technology wise now, it's caught up to the higher end price stuff, so you don't need to spend the amount of money just to get started. It's not worth it. Because I remember back when I had my 40 breeder, I still was doing maxi jet mods, which a lot of people don't know what that is. A maxi jet is just like a return pump that used to be able to have a hose fitting on it. It just came out of like a hose fitting. But you could change it over where people were putting like RC plane propellers on them inside of a reef tank, and it changed the flow like way up. But for the price of it, you're talking, I think it was like $30 for a brand new maxi jet, and then another $20 for that kit. So all in, you're at $50, and you're getting the performance of some of these higher end pumps. It was, to me back then, I was like, I'm not spending that kind of money when you can have the same performance for way less. Mm. €100 per water change. Wow. If you're buying water, possible. But again, it depends on what you're trying to keep for salt water. If you're trying to keep like high-end SPS corals, it's going to be more money. If you're trying to just do like, you know, very inexpensive, easy corals, it's going to be less. And if you're just trying to do like a fish only with live rock, it's going to be even less than that. You don't need to go fancy on really any of the systems. I've seen a lot of systems that are SPS that don't go crazy. A lot of people do. You know, a lot of people like to spend the money. But it's not. I don't know. You can spend a lot in this hobby, or you can figure out how to do it without spending a lot. I guess is what I'm trying to get at. Which is, it's possible. Yes, an RODI unit will save you. One, it will save you money. And two, it will save you really issues when it comes to algae or nutrient buildup in the system. It saves you in a lot of ways. So, but again, I mean, you can set up a saltwater tank, fish only with live rock for relatively inexpensive startup, and upkeep is going to be cheap as well. You don't need to buy expensive salt. Don't need to go crazy on any of that. I do highly recommend like Beta was saying, an RODI unit if you decide to go with saltwater. But again, there's been success with people who don't keep coral and are able to do their tap water, but I don't trust any of that, so that's why I use an RODI unit. Whatever you're doing is working, your fish look happy and healthy, the tank itself looks beautiful. Thank you, Sherry. The KISS method works. Keep it simple, stupid. Don't overcomplicate things. And again, the goal for a marine tank or even a freshwater tank is you're trying to replicate an environment that is self-sustaining as it is. So if you can build a self-sustaining environment, that's the end goal. And once it's self-sustaining, it can take care of itself. That's easy peasy. All right. Well, guys, I am all done packing. I am all done putting my labels on. I got to go outside and continue on my pool. I have my absolute nightmare of a pool that started last year. I got to finish up getting that fixed up. So I'm going to be cutting the live here, but if you guys have any questions or anything, definitely ask. But I got to go out. I do have to go out and do the pool and deliver my packages to the post office and to UPS. So probably cut it short here in like probably 5 minutes. But yeah, my pool started off last year with, I needed to replace the liner. I bought a pool liner and new felt bottom for it. And the pool liner was about 6 feet short on the ends, lengthwise. They told me just to stretch it out, and it basically almost collapsed my pool. So, got a new one, but they didn't send it to me till the end of the season last year, and it just wasn't worth putting up. So, I have it filled up now, and I just gotta do my filter and stuff. So, but yeah, that's what I'll be doing after I jump off this live. Thanks for sharing. 10 days ago. Holy smokes. But I do have videos as well on my page, so if you guys want to watch anything, have any questions, you can write in the comments down there and let me know anything. And that's about it, guys. I will catch you guys later in the next video. Thanks, Chifa. Hopefully you been able to catch some video, but I'm heading out. See you guys later.